Thank you, Betty. Really appreciate it. All right, here we go again. So this time we're going to be talking about details. So I've got the detailed product roadmap, and one thing I like to do to help every customer understand how we build and release software at Movable Inc. is show this slide. So as you can see, every 6 weeks we are releasing code to production. Guess when the last release from Movable Inc. was? May 15th. And there's one coming up in June on the 26th and in August. You heard me reference some of the dates on this slide in the keynote this morning. But in all seriousness, this is how our teams operate. I want to highlight a few things. If you want to be an early adopter, you can raise your hand, talk to your CSM. We can get you in our early adopter program. If you want to be a part of our customer advisory board, our product advisory board. We have a customer advisory board. Those are like the people who sign the contracts. We're looking for the day-to-day users, people who log into the software every day to be a part of our product advisory board to help guide us on the software that we're building. And this process is working. Just check out the last 3 releases. You can see across Movable Inc., the Studio product, and DaVinci, we've got SMS, Mobile SDK, new homepage. We've got audience proofing, picking up new creatives. Our teams are delivering important features for all of you every 6 weeks. So I hope you're paying attention to our release schedule and the release emails that you get, all the documentation's on the support center. So just like to start with that so everyone has the context of how often we're pushing code and when you can expect things. You heard in the keynote this morning about our 2 products, Studio and DaVinci. So I'm going to start with the Studio roadmap. And the Studio roadmap has these roadmap themes. So there's a theme around data, a theme around mobile, a theme around what we call Inc UX, which is our new design system and a new user experience. I'm going to show you a quick sneak peek of that today in what we call vision type. And then this thing called True to the Core. We always make sure we reserve time in our roadmap for your requests. So we design the process that we have to ensure that the top requests we're getting from customers get prioritized and get put into production. So let's quickly start with the customer data API. I unpacked this a little bit in the keynote, this concept of us standing up an endpoint and now our customers being able to stream data to us and us storing that for 30 days. That's exactly what this is. This on the left were the productized integrations that we have had for a long time, but we were limited. We were limited to just the vendors that we were able to get productized integrations built. And you saw on my slide this morning there are dozens of CDPs and loyalty systems and ESPs that now we can integrate to by using this customer data API. We're here in mid-June, and you can see that here's some of the examples of the systems. And some of these are, this slide's a little bit old, these are all complete. So I think except for Amperity, all of these systems have now, through our customers, adopting this, which again, we had the early access in February, GA in March. And you can see on June 26th is when we're going to add the new events. So you can extend the data model and stream us whatever data you want. On the 25th, we have plans for this idea of what we call anonymous stitching, so stitching anonymous browsing with actual customers. And so closing that gap between what we track on our first-party cookie and when customers actually identify themselves, and we can do that. And then the full vision is around a full profile of your customer in Movable Inc. The next major item on the roadmap for Studio is the enhanced mobile suite. I talked about a lot of these in the keynote. I want to unpack some of the details here. If you haven't thought about the mobile SDK, it actually delivers significant capabilities, not just the ability to personalize content through a mobile push. It enhances the experience that your customer can have from an email to your mobile app. It enhances the customer experience because it tracks the mobile app behavior and can inform what you should say or present in your emails. So it's got this bi-directional nature in our platform that once you kind of get your head around what you can do with the mobile SDK, you realize it unlocks a tremendous number of use cases and possibilities, including deep linking, which was like the #1 customer request for the last year, which this completely resolves. So now you'd be able to deep link into the specific page in the mobile app from an email or from an SMS or from anywhere. The roadmap for the enhanced, actually my we are here is off just a tad. Just imagine we're fasting forward to, we're here in June, but you guys get what I'm saying. Raise your hand if you have a mobile app. Okay, so a lot of you do. You have to go through IT, you have to go through your developers, right? You got to get it into their queue. We've got the sdk.movableinc.com. You can see all the documentation. You can forward that to your IT team and development team. We're supporting these wrappers called Flutter and React Native. You might not know if your teams use it. There's a pretty high possibility they do. If they don't, no big deal. We support native iOS and native Android, but this is we've run into this with a few customers who run Flutter and run React Native, so we've responded to that feedback. There's another wrapper called Zarman there. That's coming in August. And then Braze and Airship are doing some really cool things with this concept of content cards and scenes. And so we'll be supporting more mobile experiences with our partners, like those two partners in particular, and other mobile partners to make sure that you can maximize this channel in your marketing mix. Wouldn't it be amazing if some of the parts of the application were easier to use, easier to find things? So we actually have been working on this thing. What you're seeing here is called a vision type. A vision type is a wireframe prototype. I'm not showing you MovableInc.com. I'm showing you a Figma. You guys probably know what Figma is. This is a wireframe, just so we're all on the same page. But imagine when you log into the platform and you see the most important stats, like clicks, conversions, revenue across the top. You've got this idea of all your recent activity or things that need attention flagged to you right on the home page. When you scroll down on a newly designed homepage, you can see the performance across all your campaigns, and you can see information like best performing content across everything you have running in the system. Look on the left here, you see a brand new primary navigation. Easy to find things, easy to get around the application. Dashboard, content, channels, data, performance. There's this idea down here of account switching. So if you have multiple Movable Inc. accounts, you can switch back and forth between them. I'm going to highlight the content tab. So today you create a campaign, and we like that nomenclature, we like that concept because you think about campaigns, but there are some problems with our current architecture. Do you guys regularly make copies of campaigns, or do you create new campaigns? Okay, you make copies? Yeah, you make copies all the time. So what do we call that? We call that adaptive behavior. So you're using the product not in a way it was designed because you're adapting it because it doesn't work for your needs. So we're building a new feature, and that new feature, oops, lost my screen there. My MiFi go out? Oh man, okay, my MiFi, looks like I lost my internet, of course. Let's try this one more time. How do I set this guy up? And I should see the MiFi. Of course this was gonna happen. What do I do here? Wi-Fi is on. And I'll just connect to the Think Summit, see what happens. Let's hope this works. Looks like the Verizon one I'm connected to. Oh, join Think Summit. I will accept, and I will adapt in real time, live in front of everybody here in the room. All right. Perfect. So if I click on campaigns, I see a new campaign index page. This is what we call an index page, where you see all of your campaigns. You see a create button in the upper right-hand corner. You see things like the state of the campaign, and you can filter this grid based on the state. You can create tags. All these tags are things you track things by and keep track of things. And if you're going to create a new campaign, I'm imagining I'm an ESPN. I've got this NHL playoffs that are happening. And I can create this new thing that we call a tactic. And so you can use an existing tactic, grab it from the gallery, or use AI. And that's that code generation I was talking about in my keynote. But you can see these common use cases, like an item grid, a live poll, and image personalization. Wouldn't it be amazing if you could just come in and grab one of these and say, I want to select this tactic, and now you're in a workflow look, a step-by-step, 4-step workflow, details, content, preview, finish, and you have the opportunity to come in here kind of in one flow, set up your campaign, and then come into Studio. Come into the Studio interface, do everything that you do in that interface, save and close it, and now you've got this ability in the flow to set up all your targeting rules. So you would do that not by going back and forth between the two interfaces, but you've got all these different targeting rules that you set up right here in line, and you can see them and then preview them just right in line instead of having to go back and forth in the user interface. So as you preview these, I'm going to go ahead and select a location, and you notice I've got the zip code here. Now I've got, in this case, all the things that I might show to people in different cities across the United States and Canada. So whether you're in Houston or whether you're in Toronto, you're going to see different content. So this would be the new step-by-step process for creating a campaign. And then once you have that campaign live, you would come to a Performance tab, and you would see exactly how that performs over time. So rather than creating a campaign and grabbing these embed codes kind of separate, it's all now in one simple and easy workflow. It'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Yep. So we are just embarking on this project. We have the original, we have the designs. The team is in the middle of building, we can go back to the slides if you don't mind. You see this idea of campaign templates. So now instead of making copies over and over, you build a campaign from a template, and that way you can tie back to the template and report on that. So we want our customers to change their behavior. And then this thing called tactics. So that user interface I pulled up of all those tactics. So we're going to be introducing some new concepts to make the system easier to use. So that's Studio. Now let's talk about DaVinci. So the DaVinci roadmap also has 4 roadmap themes. And the first theme is self-service. When you saw Aaron's demo this morning, how easy it was to go through that step-by-step workflow, there are other things that we're going to continue to add to that step-by-step workflow. And I'll walk through a few of those, including audience building and reporting. And you see reporting is right there as a second major theme, being able to surface all those creative reports right in the user interface. Trusted experience is a big part of what we're doing. So, we have customers in EMEA, and we need to be able to support GDPR. We have, Movable Inc. has been SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, right? Enterprise companies expect SOC 2 compliance. That's a requirement by your IT team. DaVinci is in the process of becoming SOC 2 compliant. They're also going to be getting their ISO certifications. So when I talked about enterprise AI, that's the way we're thinking about it. So trusted experience is a prioritized, an important item in our roadmap that I want to highlight. And then AI for everyone. Being able to extend this system beyond retail into travel, into quick service restaurants, into financial services, into all industries. So I want to highlight the DaVinci self-service roadmap. You saw the campaign workflows. Some of the audience and contact management today is not self-service, but it will be. Reporting and analytics, of course, we can tell you the weather, and we give you some high-level stats. But some of the reports come to you like on a weekly basis, and our customers want, or on a monthly basis, and our customers want those every day. So we've kicked off a project to do that, and then this workflow of matching your audiences with your creative is something that we're working on. So overall, the campaign workflow roadmap, we've completed several things for our customers that they've asked for. In progress on June 26th is this whole new tab design of creating the Experiences tab. We're sunsetting an old legacy user interface, and things like creative versioning, selecting drafts and draft campaigns, proofing at scale, and this idea of this legacy migration. So again, we acquired this company, and we're upgrading it, and we're rewriting big parts of it to make it enterprise ready. So we're going to be migrating some things in, end-of-lifing a few things in the product. So if you're a customer, you know what I'm talking about if you use DaVinci. I want to talk a little bit about audience management. So we've added this idea of data connections and tagging and attributes to the system. These are behind feature flags right now because on September 25th, we're going to be running an EAP for our new audience builder. So this would be a no-code, easy-to-use interface to be able to build and manage your contacts, your audiences, and what we call your audience groups. So audience groups are these like pre-built segments that you have in the system. So this will allow all the audience management to be completely self-service in DaVinci. The other thing I want to highlight is reporting. We have both a short-term plan and a long-term plan. So this screen you see here is in production today. This gives you opens, clicks, conversions. It gives you kind of like we call high-level tracking data, if you will. On the right, we've got this black screen. Doesn't look like the rest of them. Right? This is a part of the system that customers don't have access to. So we've gotten with the design team, and we are developing a brand new interface that will come right into the system, and you'll be able to see things like, how is your AI performing against your control group or your proxy, right? Your business as usual. What's the % lift for today, not just for the week or the month? How are my creatives performing? What creative is driving the most? Today, our customers get those reports in spreadsheets. In the future, they're going to get them right into the product. And so we think about this in two parts. There's the platform reporting, so you've got the analytics and insights, and then you've got this idea of like these real deep AI insights. These are the kinds of insights you can't get from your marketing cloud because they're not running the AI models that we're running. And so we're going to be adding that into the system coming up here this fall. Probably more like late fall, early winter. And then the last thing I want to highlight is trusted experience. So I talked about CCPA, I talked about GDPR and SOC 2 compliance. That's an important part of what we're adding to the system. So we've got on our May 15th release, which was just happened, we're now CCPA and GDPR 100% compliant on the entire DaVinci system. So now we've got some customers that are, I can't say who, but they are going to stand up an instance of DaVinci for their teams in Europe. And then the SOC 2 for July. So we're going through a whole audit, so the DaVinci team will achieve the SOC 2 Type 2 compliance, just like Movable Ink Studio has. We've had that for years. But this is part of that process of taking that coherent path acquisition we made 2 years ago and making it ready for enterprises. The last thing I'll talk about is this thing we call ESP connector service. So you see we got this kicking off research for Braze and Adobe. I talked about this in the keynote. We support Salesforce. We support Oracle. We support Cordial, Acoustic, and I'm missing one, Cheetah Digital today. But if you're not on those, then you can't use DaVinci. So we're going to continue to add more and more. This is a really cool project because what it does is it creates these little SDKs for every ESP. And it makes it easier for us to build them, maintain them. If something goes wrong, their API goes down, we'll have better error handling. There's like all kinds of goodness that comes from this project. It's kind of internal facing, but I share it with everybody because I think it's important for you to see how we're thinking about how we're building this product. Right? We're here to basically not lock you into an ESP. So if you want to move from one to the other, that's something we can support through this new SDK model. So, and many of you do, and we've experienced it in having to move a customer from one to the other. So it makes it easier for you to run whatever ESP you want. It's completely independent. It's completely separated, and it just minimizes things like when issues comes up or any bugs. It just makes it simple and easy for us to know exactly where to go fix it and make it right for you. I'm going to bring this home with our AI for everyone. So I talked about the new personalization models, that vision model, that's brand new. Send time and frequency, training models for content, and expanding our AI models beyond retail for other verticals. So let's talk a little bit about that subject line generation. That was pretty cool, wasn't it? So this will be an early adoption on August 14th. This is the way it works on the left, right? We take your data, your creative data, and your subject lines. We create a style guide. You give us feedback. There's 20 tones and 20 emotions that allow it to build these subject lines. So what makes it different from all the others? Well, it's tightly coupled to your creative. It understands your reuse rules, how often you can reuse content, and it automatically generates these things based on your subject line, or on your style guide. And so it uses historical data to learn, and every time new engagements happen, it's learning, and it's getting better. So this is what the interface is going to look like. It's going to be a really streamlined, step-by-step workflow. You're going to be able to approve, reject, or edit the subject line, and every time you do that, it's going to feed back into the model. The next thing we're doing is this idea of understanding exactly where the content was rendered on the desktop, on the mobile device. There are different dimensions. So I talked about that tagging concept where we can tag everything automatically. This is part of the metadata that feeds the model so it knows how to render content. And then, actually this date is a little bit off. Sorry, I actually need to probably change that date. I think that's going to be a little bit further out. But this is this idea of frequency personalization. We have a solution in production today. It needs to be improved. So some customers are actually using this live, but we're building a brand new one. And the development has not yet started, so we're going to begin development on that. That'll probably be more like the September or November release. So the core AI roadmap, the zones, the contextualizer, improving heuristics. We've got frequency productization, and obviously the subject line generation. I know I'm running out of time, so thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.